So I'm just addressing now the behaviour of men with respect to misandry. It is massively disappointing to me, the abuse that men will tolerate from every direction, every source, that will just accept the labelling of men as basically evil. And they just let it pass, they don't pay it any mind, they don't seem to understand just how awful and how damaging this treatment is. And the case that's particularly caught my attention recently is when Brent Council said on their website, on their public website, they said regarding domestic violence, they say that, what did they say exactly? They say that the address is confidential. This is information directed at women. So a safe house, if you like. So they say the address is confidential and no men are allowed in the building. And I find it absolutely stunning that Brent Council could say this on their public website. It's absolutely atrocious. It's incredibly damaging, incredibly awful, and it's nearly criminal, I would say. If I was in a position to do so, I would seek legal redress for this hateful language. It's absolutely awful. If they were talking about black people, for example, they wouldn't say that a black person has committed a crime and so no black people will be allowed in the building. They wouldn't say that. It would be impossible for language like that to be used against black people, or black men rather. And so this is the point I'm making. Black men will react to abuse directed against them, but men as a group will not react to abuse. They will accept being labeled as essentially abusers of women or potential abusers of women. Men do not seem to have a consciousness of themselves. They don't have an awareness of just how damaging such language is when directed at all men. And men don't seem to understand that this treatment is not just language on a web page. It leads to legal changes. It leads to the way laws are drafted. If we have this attitude that says men are dangerous or potentially dangerous, actions follow from this. Policies change, laws change, and the lives of men are adversely affected because of hateful language like this. So it should not be allowed to pass. It should not be accepted. As I said, if Brent Council had directed their hate towards black people or Jewish people or any other group you can think of, it would not be accepted. But they direct it against all men, and men say nothing about it. And Brent knew that they could label all men as potentially abusive because they know that men will not react. Brent Council was fully aware that men don't seem to have a consciousness of themselves. They would accept hateful language directed against all men, and it's just inexplicable and very frustrating that men behave in this way and accept hateful language directed against them. They don't seem to realize that hateful language leads to hateful laws. It's very important to stop this from going on, to stop this misandry from taking effect. It should not be ignored. It's not acceptable to have this sort of language used against all men. Absolutely outrageous.